1 year ago, I posted my first video on YouTube, and that was a market focus video. And today, February 18th, which is like 1 year, exactly 1 year, I have 1,000 subscribers. This has always been a big milestone for me. So at first, I just want to say thank you to all the subscribers. Thank you to everyone who takes out time to like, comment, and share. It means a lot to me. I'm just trying to share my journey. I'm just trying to share what works for me. And I believe if you can pick some value from what I'm sharing and implement what you're doing and you see results, it makes me really happy. And again, I'm really grateful to all of you. So the main topic today is how do you build confidence with your trading. So first of all, I had to record this video once I get home, but I realized sometimes I have many ideas, and by the time I get home I'm really tired, and I get really limited if I have to rely on my work desk just to record videos. So you might see lots of videos like this. So how do you build confidence with your trading? How do you build confidence with your strategy? So I have lots of people asking me, what strategy are you using? And it's very easy. You can see on my channel, it's all about trend lines, it's all about psychological levels. But again, people still find it difficult just to understand, like, how do you build confidence with a very simple strategy with two common concepts? Like, these concepts are easy to understand, but how do you build confidence? How do you trade this over this period of time, and you're so confident about what you say, you're confident about what you do? Look at my channel thing. From the very first video I posted, the first market focus video up until the last one, it's always been about trend lines and psychological levels. But then how do you build this confidence? Why am I so confident talking about trend lines, and why do I have so much confidence trading it? The reason is simple. I've spent a lot of time looking at trend lines and psychological levels. I've taken lots of trades when it comes to trend lines and psychological levels. Now, it's the same thing with athletes. So let's take these guys who play like the NBA thing. So look at Michael Jordan, look at LeBron James, look at Steph Curry. Why do you think these guys are like at the top of their sports? It's because they've done the same thing over and over again. So you take an example, Steph Curry, for example. He's the best three-point shooter right now. So Steph has taken many shots like from the three-point line. So he has built this confidence already. Now when you ask him to take, let's say, the final shot in a game, in a playoff series and stuff like that, he is very confident taking it. And the reason is because he has done this during practice. He's done this during the games, and it's very easy for him to repeat the same thing under pressure, and to repeat the same thing like when everything's on the line. Now it's the same thing you can do with your trading. It's the same thing you can do with your strategy. When you're looking at strategies, you need to build confidence with your strategy. You need to trade with the same system and the same concept over a period of time. Now, you might ask me, let's say, is 1 month enough for you to build confidence with a strategy? Is 3 months okay for you to build confidence with a strategy? So what's the time frame for you to build this confidence? And I'm going to tell you, it varies depending on the individual, but a good time frame should be 1 year, 2 years, and anything above that. So 1 to 3 years, you can build lots of confidence with your strategy. So if you're trading, let's say, price action, and every day you come in the market and you're looking at the charts, and all you're looking at is a simple pattern, and you're looking at this thing every single time, you tend to build confidence with this thing. So compared to somebody who's moving from one mentor to the next, compared to somebody who's moving from one strategy to the next, you will spending time with one strategy, you're building confidence. Now, it goes a long way. The reason sometimes you're struggling with your trading is not because of the system, it's not because of the concept, it's simply because you don't have confidence trading what you're used to. So if you don't have confidence with your basic concepts, then how do you even put your capital at risk? So this is something I struggled with, and during the early stages, I think I haven't even mentioned this, but it took me time. It took me over 5 to 7 years just gaining confidence, just understanding, having like developing my strategy, it took me time. And the reason was because every time I go, let's say with a new mentor, I'll start learning from this person, and then I'll switch it along the way. So let's say 3 months into my journey with a certain mentor, if I'm not seeing results, or let's say I hit 6 losses and I'm in a drawdown, I'm gonna switch it. The first thing that comes to my mind back in the days, the strategy is not working, so it's not performing the way I want it to, and I switch it immediately. And I fail to understand, the best traders out there have periods of drawdowns. The best traders out there have periods of low performance. So it's the same thing when it comes to your own strategy. You need to understand, your strategy is going to go through periods of drawdowns. It's something you cannot change. You cannot flip it. It's going to happen. But then you need to build confidence. You need to trade these things over time. And once you start trading it over time, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, you're looking at the same thing. There are certain variations I see now when it comes to trend lines and psychological levels. When I started, I wasn't seeing these things. And I'm only seeing these things now because I've spent so much time looking at the same thing. So if there's one thing you can take from this, how do you build confidence with your strategy? Trade your strategy during periods of drawdowns. I think the best period when you can understand your strategy and put your strategy to test, it's when you're in a drawdown. So if you're in a drawdown and you're trading your system, you're trading your strategy, and you're able to navigate out of these drawdowns, it makes it completely easy for you. During periods of drawdowns, that's the best time you can evaluate your system. That's the best time you can evaluate your strategy. So I'm very happy when my system goes into a drawdown, because it's another period for me to ask myself how my system is performing. So you need to embrace drawdowns, and that's the only way you can build confidence. Take your trades, take all these losing trades, and it's very okay. There is no system out there that performs 100% of the time. There is no system out there. But all you can do, trade your system, trade it during periods of drawdowns, trade during periods where you're asking yourself if your strategy even works. That's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. And that's what has helped me, and that's how I've been able to navigate. That's how I've been able to craft my system around psychological levels and trend lines. I've done the same thing over and over again. I've done the same thing. I've looked at the same price action. As a reference, just look at my videos on YouTube. 1 year in already. The way I do my market focus from video number 1 right up to, I think I'm around 54 videos already with my market focus. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not even switching it. I'm looking at trend lines the same way. I'm looking at psychological levels the same way. Now, you cannot compare with me when it comes to trend lines and psychological levels, because I've looked at this same thing for a very, let's say, for a long period. So I've been trading it. I've gone through thick and thin. I've had difficult moments. I've had periods where I'm sat and I'm looking at my trend lines and psychological levels, and I'm asking myself, is it even possible? Like, is this thing even working? And you see, you'll go through periods of doubt as well. So I had periods when I was doubting myself. I had periods when I was doubting my strategy. Up until this day, there's certain periods when I go into a drawdown, because now I'm used to getting wins and stuff like that, and like really good wins. And sometimes when I go into a drawdown, I start questioning myself as well. Like, hey, is this system still working? And it's very okay. It's okay for you to question your strategy. It's okay for you to question your system. But for you to build confidence with your system, you need to stick with the system. Stick with the system over time. Trade the same thing over time. That's the only way you can build confidence. There's no two ways to it, guys. Like, sometimes you're out there looking for the holy grail thing, but the simple systems you have, if you can spend time trading these simple systems, you might realize you're sitting on gold. And that's the same thing for me. So I flipped through from mentor to mentor. I went from one strategy to the next, and at one point in time I was like, I just have to go with trend lines. So I went through different strategies, different mentors, and I'm like, okay, I just want to stick with trend lines. I'm going to stick with trend lines, and I'm going to stick with psychological levels, because every strategy out there, if you show me any strategy, entry point, exit point, take profit and stuff like that, I can put a trend line on the psychological level and I take almost the same trade. So once I understood it's not about the strategy, but it's about how long you spend with this strategy, then I just went all in. I went all in with trend lines. I went all in with psychological levels, and I haven't looked back till date. So there's just two things I'm looking at: trend lines, psychological levels. Trend lines and psychological levels. It's not that difficult, guys. You need to give it time. Give it time. And even if you were the mentor, for example, you were the mentor right now, and the mentor says a strategy is going to take maybe a year for you to understand, give it time. So put an extra 1 year, maybe 2 years. Trade the same thing for 3 years. Now, if you think you're not profitable in your trading, trade the same thing for 3 years. Trade the same thing for 2 years. Look at the same price action every time. Let's say you take 100 trades. Ask yourself certain question. Is trade number 1 the same like trade number 100? If you see, like, if there's similarities between trade number 1 and trade number 100, then you know you're on the right spot. But then you need to put time in. You need to give your strategy a lot of time for it to sink in. There's no magic out there. It's not that complex. Sometimes it's very easy, but you just understanding, or maybe sometimes somebody needs to tell you, and that's it. I'm telling you, spend time with your strategy. Now, you don't have to do what I'm doing. You don't have to do trend lines and psychological levels. If you're doing ICT, stick with ICT. That's a very good concept. If you're doing, let's say, fair value gaps, imbalance and stuff like that, smart money concepts, stick with what you're doing, but give it time. Give it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That's the only way you can evaluate your strategy. But you need to do it over time and do the same thing over time. Not just giving it time and switching. You're giving it time and you're doing the same thing. That's the only way you can evaluate and tell and build this confidence. It's all about confidence, guys. It's all about confidence. Once you become confident with your strategy, like, it becomes easy. There's a lot I can show you, maybe with charts and certain things. Scaling in becomes easy. Taking partials become easy. Like, you can tweak a lot with your strategy once you understand what you're doing. But first of all, spend time with your strategies and stick to it. There's no magic, guys. And that's it. So see you guys during the next one. Hope you like this format, and if you do, use the comment section and tell me. Alright guys, thank you. Bye for now.